All right, I was doing some family research and, I got a good amount figured out. So, let's just get into it from the beginning so you can understand where I'm coming from, you know? So, Kay Francis, grandma, married George. His, as you can see, was labeled as Negro, Black, Negro, Indian, same thing. We don't get into that. His dad was Henderson Boone. And notice the spot they lived at, Occonachi, Northampton, California. Keep that place in mind. Occonachi. Like that's the Indian word too. That's where they lived at. Occonachi means that Indians by the river. Like, I did all this extensive research for this video. It's just for educational purposes only. Then you got Henderson Boone, and his dad was Richard Boone. Notice he's listed as Negro Black also. And he was also brought up in Occonachi, Northampton, North Carolina. Like, just keep that in mind too. Age first married. I think he ended up getting remarried too. But his age was 45 right here. So Richard Boone lived in the same Occonachi place, which is the Indian word, which is it's basically between the place. It's basically Northampton. It's between Virginia and North Carolina. It's like a spot where a lot of Indians used to live, fish, do a lot of things. Okay. Richard Bud Boone. So this is still Richard. Richard's mother was Martha Moody. And she got her name was Martha Boone at the time when she had got married to. And she married, Martha Moody married Bud Boone. And notice it says Richard Bud Boone. So he took his dad's, he used his middle name as his first name, I'm guessing. And you notice he has a different spouse, so I guess he had got remarried. And this is another Richard Boone pulled up. And notice he's mulatto. Because and this is where it gets tricky, because they was probably very, very light skinned, very like mixed. And so it's the same family home. But notice he's named mulatto. And he's only 38 here, and he doesn't have all his kids yet. So he's labeled mulatto. Then like it's a reason why he's labeled mulatto. And notice where she's from, Martha Moody, that's Richard's mother, Martha Boone, or Moody, whatever you like. I guess she got married. And notice her race is white, and she was born in Arkansas. And keep that Arkansas in mind too, because this is where the story is gonna get good. So, Rebecca Boone, that's just the wife to Richard Boone before he got remarried. Even she was born in Occonachi too. Occonachi, North Carolina. Our history runs very deep there. Martha Moody, and you know what I'm saying? And she had a child with Richard Bud Boone. And like, I'm sorry, I had a slide just for Bud Boone. Bud Boone is the greatest of the great grandfather that I can find of. So Bud Boone was he got married to Martha Moody. I don't know if I still had it. Like right here, it says the name was Moody, spouse name, Marcia Moody, but his name was Bud Boone. He was in World War II, or one of the wars. I canceled my subscription, so I can't pull that back up. Okay, but you do see a lot of it, like where they was at, and like Northampton, like they always, especially if they was up in Occonachi a lot. Martha Moody, this is when she was 70 now. When she moved, notice she was birthplace in Arkansas now. And she moved to North Carolina, now she's 70, and she got relabeled as Negro Black, because, they probably had different ways of labeling down there, and different reasons why. So she was born in Arkansas, but she migrated to Occonachi, and she had She had Richard. Richard had Henderson. Henderson had George, and Granddad George had Daryl, and Daryl had DeMarcus. So Marthia Moody, she's, like I said, she's labeled black here. But her birth years, look at this closely now. 1860. I'll highlight that. She was born about 1860 now. So now this is where the story gets crazy. So I'm just gonna come here too so I can show what the and notice this Pleasant Hill too. Like Pleasant Hill, Occonachi, Northampton, they're all the same place. It's all around the same place. But Pleasant Hill is where your dad, where his home was for a point in time. But it's all Pleasant Hill, Occonachi, same place. But we're gonna read about it. Pleasant Hill is an unincorporated community in northwestern Northampton County, North Carolina, United States. The community is on Route 301, and you see the rest. Now, the people of the area were free blacks who married into the Holowee Saponis, creating a distinctive Native American tribe, which now has 4,000 surviving members. The majority of the Holowee Saponis live in the Halifax County area of North Carolina. And like, you know, now look at this next slide. So this is the Holowee Saponi. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but the Holowee Saponi Indian tribe, also the Holowee Saponi tribe, is a state-recognized tribe, a non-profit organization in North Carolina. They are not federally recognized as a Native American tribe and has never petitioned for a federal recognition. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure they could, because like their history, you know, and it's all going to tie in together. And notice their formation was in 1953. You know what I'm saying? We was, let me see. I think even in 1916, they formation, he was already living there in 1916. Their formation was 1953. The Holowee Sapino. So like he there obviously was there when this tribe was formed. So that means, like, you know, the Occonachi, the Holowee Saponi Indian tribe, gotta have. It's just it'd be strange if we didn't have any ties. But let's just see. So the Occonachi. The Occonachi are Native Americans who lived in the 17th century, primarily in a large 4-mile long Occonachi island at the east of the confluence of the Dan and Roanoke, I'm not saying where, Roanoke rivers near current day Clarksville, Virginia. It's like all in that same spot, like that North Carolina, Virginia. They basically lived in the middle, and we probably spoke different languages at one time. They spoke the Samoan language and thus related to the Saponitali Innu, and the southern eastern Samoan language probably lived in Piedmont region, present day North Carolina and Virginia. So notice it said both of those. Now, this next slide. That's just like something about their language, but it's like if you read this is basically where free blacks married into the Holowee, basically a different tribe. Like, you know, and just keep that term in mind, free blacks, whatever, you know, you want to call it. But this is just some pictures of like what the Occonachi, Holowee, whatever you want to call it, what the tribe looks like. I'm gonna go to some of their, if I go home, like, town, poor shop, contact, home. I'm trying to go to the members so I can see that. And then it make a lot more sense, tribal. Now look at these members of this tribe now. Look at these people. They don't look too far off, you know, like what we, you know what I'm saying? Especially with our ancestors, you know what I'm saying? Now this is where the story all ties in together. All right, so let's pay attention to this. So the term free blacks. And I wanna make sure I got this slide pulled up here so this makes all the sense in the world. Let me see and pull this slide up here. Let me just keep that right here because she was born in Arkansas, but I want the year. So I'm gonna go to this one. Birth year about 1860 in Arkansas. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right, so the term free blacks or free Negroes refer to people of African descent in the United States who were neither enslaved nor subject to ownership of another person prior to the Civil War. After which slavery was abolished, blacks were first documented as coming to Arkansas in the 18th century when the French brought slaves with them, and the white settlers in the following decade continued to practice slavery. Other blacks passed through the region with Native Americans during the period of the Indian removal, both as free blacks as slaves. Okay. Free blacks seem have to appeared in Arkansas in 1803 when officials at the Arkansas Post recorded 107 slaves and free blacks in the state by 1810. There were like 5 free blacks listed as residents in the state of Arkansas, and the population of free blacks increased in the United States at an even rate higher than whites or enslaved blacks in 1820, in which time free blacks in North made up nearly half the overall free blacks population. In 1820, there were 59 free blacks in Arkansas and 608 by 1850 now. 1850, 608 free blacks. You know what I'm saying? Martha Moody keep this in mind, she was born about 1860 in Arkansas. In Arkansas. So free blacks could own their own real estate and personal property, although interracial marriage was also outlawed. In October 1837, overall, the free black population continued to grow. In 1820 through 1850, among, let's skip this part, somebody had got lynched. A free black named Bunch, who was murdered in Charlotte County following an attempt to vote. And subsequently, he should have never voted because voting don't have anything to do with us. They ain't gonna change that for us. But freedom was generally achieved by 3 means of manumission. I don't get this word, but I know it's a bad word. Running away and self-purchase. So manumission aided in the largest increase of free blacks population. Prior to the 1850s, manuism of slaves were possible, but it did not occur frequently. Many of the free blacks in Arkansas were mulatto, a term used for people who were descendants of slaves or free blacks and white people. It is quite possible that more mulattoes were freed because their owners had some familiar parental relationship to them. Many slaves were also willed to their freedom by the owners passing away, basically. So just keep this in mind now. This is when she's 70 and she already moved to Occonachi. So that's when she was labeled as Negro or Black. But if we come here, go to the right one. She was labeled as white, still, and born in Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? She 1860 in this time. So if that makes sense. So many free blacks worked alongside enslaved blacks. In response to poor job conditions, growing numbers began to reallocate the urban areas. In a larger northern cities, an influx of German and Irish immigrants was coming over here basically, and they was mad, the job stuff, they was mad about the jobs. Many were disappointed to find out poor living conditions, racism, and as easily found in the free states as southern states. In Arkansas, a number of free blacks were employed as workers on the steamboats along the Arkansas River. However, free blacks worked on the riverbanks due to unfavorable working conditions such as swampy land, mosquitoes, and snakes. One noteworthy community of free blacks arose in the Myron County along with the White River, led by settlers Peter and David. These free blacks number approximately 130 and lived with a remarkable degree of freedom for time. They was thriving. So the urban population of free blacks nationality, the major were women. Keep that in mind. They had a bigger ratio, and most were light-skinned. Historians suggest that this was a reflection of light-skinned blacks' ability to move more easily in the legal system. In the cities, free blacks were often secretly taught urban slaves how to read and write, and urban slaves had more mobility and less supervision than slaves on plantations. Urban city dwelling free blacks often worked to buy freedom or freedom members of whom resided in rural Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna keep reading, you know what I'm saying? That's part of that. And like my thing was, teaching them how to read and write. They probably knew how to read and write, just not their language. Like they say these free blacks, because like they didn't get these black people from Africa. They was already here. They probably didn't know how to read and write English. They're the colonizer language. That wasn't our original language we spoke. So in 1820s, there were fewer than 2,000 slaves in Arkansas. But by 1860s, there was upward of 110,000 slaves in the region. The free black population was viewed as a threat to the white settlers, and slave owners. They was like, oh God damn, it's too many of them, In response, in 1843, Arkansas's General Assembly passed a law prohibiting free blacks from entering the state. By 1850s, the free black population had begun to decrease. By 1843, due to the 1843 legislation, in 1859, legislation was passed that banned the manumission of residents of free blacks in the state. The Act 151 threatened any free blacks within the state by the year of the end of subjection to 1 year of slavery in order to pay their eventual removal. In 1860, free black population has fallen. There's only 144 of them motherfuckers. I was like, fuck that. With only 35% residing in the Delta region. So they passed this legislation. In 1859, legislation was passed. So 1859 now. She was born about 1860, and I'm pretty sure that's why everybody migrated to North Carolina. I'm gonna go back to herders. You know what I'm saying? And the Occaneechi, they went to Occaneechi. It was like a lot of people was actually migrating there at the time too, and that's probably where a lot the history starts and kept going and going. So there you go. It's a 17-minute slide I put together for you, and hope you enjoyed it.